All right, welcome to School Facilities and Operations. My name is Burke Jones. I'm the Director of Operations for a school district in Kansas. And this podcast is all about, just like the title says, school facilities and operations. We have a wide variety of guests on the show, and we just talk about what's going on in our districts, kind of how we got to these positions. And then sometimes I bring on trade partners where they really educate us on what we need to know as facilities people to do projects correctly and well. So, but today I have Dave Montgomery here. He is the Assistant Director of Operations at Auburn-Washburn USD 437. And he's also the president of the board of Kansas Association of Directors of Plant Facilities, KADPF. It's our local state organization, and really some great things going on there. So we're going to talk about kind of Dave's career, what's going on with him at his district, and then some about KADPF. So welcome, Dave.
Well, thank you for having me.
Well, I'm excited. Looking forward to getting to know you better. I'm a new board member as well, so haven't been around you very much. So I'm looking forward to this time together today. So I guess tell me a little bit about, I don't think any of us when we were kids were like, I want to be a school facilities guy when I grow up. So, we all have different paths that we got here, and I think it's really fascinating the different backgrounds people have. So kind of bring us up to speed on what your careers looked like and how you ended up at Auburn-Washburn.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, I mean, honestly, my career just kind of drifted that way. To be quite honest with you, when I got out of high school, had a child pretty young. I right out of high school, I had a child, so I was in the workforce right away, trying to get money to support my family.
Right.
Still worked, higher education in between, having a kid and getting things done. I had to get a real job, so I started working in warehouses. I've always been mechanically inclined, so I ended up, working into their maintenance department um, as basically just a grunt. Honestly, I mean, I was the guy that would turn all the wrenches underneath the machines that nobody wanted to because you're on the ground the whole day. And from there, I kind of realized that's the avenue I wanted to be. I wanted to be in the maintenance, just taking care of things, making sure everything's going. And I also saw the potential growth and income opportunity in those areas as well.
Right.
So it definitely sent me down that path, and so I went to school for that in the trade school out here at Washburn Tech here in Topeka, Kansas. Industrial technology is the course path I went originally, and then I went and got an associate's in building technology through Washburn University, and then I went back to get some more HVAC knowledge. Unfortunately, due to some timing of career moves, I wasn't able to fully finish that class, so I had to move. Basically, I got a better job paying, and the hours didn't line up with the schooling.
Right.
So I mean that's the small snapshot of how I got to where I'm at with my education piece. But as far as career path, when you're working in a maintenance type deal, you can go 1,000 different routes and still end up where you and I are at a school district.
Right.
Never would have thought I would have worked out of a school district. Honestly, didn't even consider that path at all. It just kind of came to me, honestly. So I spent time in a Payless distribution as maintenance. I spent 8 years there. Spent 8 years at Target distribution and maintenance. And in those settings, that's more of a industrial. So I'm fixing motors, I'm fixing conveyor belts and stuff like that. Both of
Right.
those settings didn't have much HVAC, so my HVAC knowledge would have been helpful, but it wasn't required at the time. So basically, once I got about 8 years in at Target, I just found out I'm not a guy that likes to be in four walls all the time. I mean, I need
Right.
a little flexibility. Multiple buildings is nice because you get out and you talk to other people and you have different equipment. It's not just the same thing every single day. I need a little bit of that versatility. So I honestly started here at Auburn-Washburn as their warehouse manager.
Okay.
We had an opening. I was trying to get out of where I was at, just trying to get out, spend more time with kiddos and stuff like that. Um, I spent, a year and a half, moved into the maintenance foreman because, I mean, obviously my skill set for warehouse, I can do that, but, my skill set's more mechanical.
Right.
So they moved me into a maintenance foreman position. And then basically a year after that, I moved into what's called an energy specialist here at Auburn-Washburn. And basically we go through a company called Synergistics. They went through and analyzed all our buildings, kind of tweaked the parameters a little bit on all of our equipment to provide energy savings. So I became
Right.
the energy specialist for that. Um, and then that ultimately kind of, just because of the design of that, the energy savings piece, you start learning a whole lot about the HVAC and boiler side of things. So that kind of led me into that area of it. I don't technically have a license or anything like that for HVAC, but I know enough about it to get things done. And then from there, it kind of morphed into okay, now you're over maintenance. So now I'm the assistant director of operations. Rich
Okay.
Jones is the director out here, and he is, basically he's in all the high level bond type meetings and stuff like that. And I manage all of our people and making sure our capital outlay projects are getting done and on budget, and work with budget with him. So
Yeah.
that's
Fantastic.
a quick snapshot of everything. But that's how I ended up here.
Okay. So are you just over the maintenance and kind of project side? Are you over custodial or anything else?
So I'm in Rich's absence. I'd be over everything operations, but my everyday it is custodial, maintenance, and grounds.
Okay.
So I basically supervise, evaluate, and inform them individuals. So
Right.
it's a total. I think it's a total of 65 employees.
Okay.
Um, just those three groups.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are some of the, I guess, as I look when I started working for a school district 4 years ago, um, there was some like big learning opportunities for me, like in leadership and um, that kind of thing. What were some of the things that, you've probably, I wouldn't say struggle with, but like, what have you like had to work on to kind of develop yourself to be a better leader?
Well, it's obviously for a school district, it's the diversity of what you have to know. I mean,
Right.
you've got to know a little bit about everything. You need to have some specialties where you know a lot about it, um, but you definitely need to know a little bit to a majority of what's going on in your buildings every day. You're going to have techs that come to you all the time with information, and sometimes you're going to be like, okay, well, I need to research this a little bit because I'm not 100% in this area.
Right.
I mean, it's ever you're always learning something in these roles because there's always something new that pops up. With me, for as far as challenges go, I mean, I would say anytime you move from a non-supervisor role in the same area into a supervisor role, you always have those guys that were your buddies, and they don't understand the difference between, hey, now you got to kind of listen to me, man. There's always that challenge.
Right.
My personality, usually, I don't have a whole lot of issues. I'm pretty easygoing, and I'll work right beside you if need be. So most of the guys, they like that type of leader.
Right.
Yeah.
It's really kind
Uh,
of that servant leadership mentality where I'm going to do it right along with you if I need to. Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's perfect.
Absolutely.
Um, so you guys, you mentioned kind of a bond. Are you guys in the middle of a bond right now?
We passed a $145 million bond, well, a year and a half ago now. And we are about $100 million deep in it right now. And the majority of our projects are supposed to be done the fall of 2025. So 145 million in a few short years is really humping.
It
So
is.
we have a second middle school being built at the moment. We have a huge CTE center at our high school. So our high school's been around since the 50s, and it's just had addition after addition after addition.
Right.
This edition for fellas like us who actually get in there and do things. It's exciting for me to watch, a career technical education center go up. We're going to be able to build um, cent houses, or actually, we're working with a different partner now. The houses, that we used to build a house, and then another school district would build the other half for
Oh, cool.
special needs people that just need a little assistance to get housing. Now we're able to build this indoors, and we'll be able to trailer it in the door, trailer it out of the door, and we're building the entire house.
Oh,
So there's
wow.
no snow days on those jobs. uh, yeah, and then we'll have a full-fledged robotics. We're actually doing like a culinary arts area in our CTE. So we're looking at those trade jobs, the
Right.
ones we need when we're looking for applicants. And I know a lot of high schools are starting to focus on that a little bit, and I'm glad they are, because honestly, I'm sure you've seen it, Burke. The trades they're struggling to get people right now. So,
Right.
and there is some extremely high paying jobs in those avenues. It's just people don't know a whole lot about them.
It's
So,
it's so true. We're actually starting a project right now where we're going to allow high school kids to shadow our tradespeople. Um, so HVAC, electrical, carpentry, welding, locksmithing, um, and so they have kids identified at the high school that are interested. And so I guess we're going to go pick them up and run around with them for an hour or two. And I've asked my guys, to like save a work order that's like some real, something that these kids could turn a wrench on. Like, I don't want them just to
yep,
stand there and watch you work. If they can do something, like, let's let them do it. Our insurance covers them and everything. So, I think it's going to be really, really cool to see how that develops. Right now, it's just shadowing. It might turn into more of like an internship kind of thing at some point, but um, we have such a great opportunity in our schools to grow some of these people ourselves.
absolutely.
And whether they come to work here or go elsewhere, there's career paths that are amazing in any of those trades. So I'm really excited about that. So,
Yep.
so that
Yeah, that,
CTE, that sounds like a fantastic facility you guys are building.
yeah. I'm super excited. I mean, they've got it all shelled in right now, so we got a nice, box. We've got all the beams up and everything, and I'm starting to visualize the whole thing. Other than just the plans I've been looking at for months and months and months.
Right.
It is very exciting, especially like I said, for somebody like me that's my thing.
Yeah.
Getting my hands on something and messing with it. It's definitely exciting to see that the education sector is going. You know what? We need to focus some efforts here and get these kids some of this hands-on stuff.
Right.
I mean, we're going to have some very, very nice facilities over here. I'm super excited with that. So,
That's awesome. So,
and we did do the shadowing, Burke. We did do the shadowing, and that's an
uh-huh.
awesome thing. We definitely we partner with the high school, and they like you said, they have some people kind of earmarked every once in a while. It's not a constant thing. They haven't figured out a way to kind of integrate it with a curriculum.
Right.
But we definitely have some one-offs where it's like, okay, hey, we're gonna have this guy. We want to get him in shadow. They go with our HVAC guys, our plumbers. Some of them even go with our preventive maintenance guys, but our preventive maintenance guys, they do it all. I mean, they do
Yeah.
roof drain. They pretty much do it all. So that's a good place for a young person to start.
Right.
And you can always find something that they can do in that area, the preventive maintenance area. So,
Right.
but
Yeah.
it's a good program. I'm glad you guys got it.
Yeah, I'm real excited about it. Um, we'll see how it goes. And actually, my guys are real excited about it. I mean, they love what they do, so they want to show other people how exciting it is. So it's going to be cool. Um,
Cool.
so when you guys are adding space, I mean, you're adding quite a, new middle school, new CTE building. Did you guys look to say, okay, we might need more maintenance guys on the other side of that, or are you going to kind of see how it goes?
No, me and Rich, my boss, the director here, we kind of sat down and did some analytics to see, square footage, types of spaces, types of surfaces, how much, outside ground are we adding that needs to be maintained.
Right.
We kind of factored all those things in, and we just, went with industry standards, and you can find industry standards from pretty much any chemical supplier. They'll give you your custodial numbers. Hey, this is where you need to be per square footage, or there's plenty of avenues to go to get those. This is kind of where you need to be, and
Right.
then it's kind of a personal built, personal district thing. I mean, you kind of, do we really need this many, or do we need this many? And so, yeah, we've actually sat down and based on all the numbers we compiled, we've already sent a list to our board of how many additional positions that might require.
Yeah.
With $145 million, that's a significant space add.
Right.
A whole new middle school. I mean, you're talking about a staff of a minimum of 8 custodians. So,
Right.
um, and then you add a maintenance personnel. It definitely is something you have to consider ahead of time because it's not just opening up a building; it's figuring out, do we have the budget to pay that many more new people?
Yeah.
I mean, because essentially what we're doing is, we have the largest middle school in the state of Kansas, and why we built the building is because having 1,000 middle schoolers in one building, it's a nightmare
That
for
is a
education.
nightmare. Yeah.
It works, but when in passing periods, those hallways, they are jam packed. So
Right.
we're basically splitting those two up into two middle school, or that up into two middle schools, and we're bringing all the sixth grade out of our grade schools into our middle schools.
Okay.
So it's not like adding students, or we have a big influx of students coming in, so that the budget's still going to be the same, but
Right.
we're running a whole other facility. So
Yeah.
uh, we had that to work through as well, and that's just part of our administration team kind of getting together, going, okay, who needs what, how much is this, that type of thing. It takes a
Right.
lot of work on the end.
Well, it does, especially the way school finance works. I mean, because you're doubling your teachers at the middle school level, and I mean, lots of things. So a lot of new salaries coming into your budget. Well,
Absolutely.
so we've just wrapped up about $120 million worth of bond work. And I think one of the things that surprised me, because I used to be an architect before this. So in my world as an architect, when the building's done, everything's wonderful. It's just, it works right. It's everything's perfect. The thing that surprised me being on the owner side is, especially with HVAC systems, just how much they still need to be, I don't know, massaged or tweaked or, all of that. I've since found out about commissioning, and some of those services that you can actually retain to make sure that the system's functioning as designed. But I mean, we had some stuff that, I mean, everything turned on, but like it didn't function properly. And
Absolutely.
what I found is no one really makes sure it functions properly. So are you guys doing any commissioning or?
Yep.
Okay.
So with all of my bids that I put out, and I learned this early on. So I mean, it's a learning process unless somebody tells you about it ahead of time. Uh, because we've added some systems on our own, and it's like, okay, this isn't working right. What's going on? We've had to bring people in to figure out what's wrong. Yeah,
Right.
you would think you'd be able to pull a rooftop off of a curb, put a new rooftop down, and wire it up, and it should run, right? Well, Unfortunately, that's not always the case. You got little hiccups in systems. I mean, just in the system itself from the factory. So I've always in my bids included factory startup from the manufacturer, so that they provide a tech that knows about their equipment, comes
Right.
out, starts it up for us, makes sure it's running 100% where it's supposed to be, and they follow the design parameters by our design team that said, hey, this is the system you need for this space. We need it to do this, so they know all that ahead of time. But absolutely, I mean, we've had some nightmare installs. So factory startup for me, commissioning is the way to go. We don't
Yeah.
do anything without it now. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
I think I just had in my head, it's a brand new building. Everything's going to work for, at least the first few years, right? That's just not the
yeah,
case. I mean, boards go
yeah,
out. It's just, yeah, it's new
yeah. Yeah,
and it works.
and a lot of times it's still under warranty, but you still
Right.
got to get somebody to figure out what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what's your favorite part about the job?
My favorite part about the job, I mean, honestly, it's the people. It's always the people. I love, or I love dealing with problems. And if you're in maintenance, problems are kind of your thing. You learn
Right.
how. I'll get a call and somebody will be panicking, and I'm not panicking, and they're like, "Well, this is an emergency. I've seen this 50 times. It's not a big
Right.
deal. We'll get it squared away here in a few minutes, but give me the details. Let's hear what's going on." I like putting people at ease.
Mhm.
Obviously, there's sometimes, like you got a one boiler building and the boiler's down. There's no putting somebody at ease. I mean, it's
No.
like we're working on it. That's all I can tell you right now. I mean, until we get it up, it's going to be hit and miss. You're going to get some cold rooms. We'll get some space heaters over, but it's definitely the people side of it and helping make things go. Obviously, anytime I'm in a building and I see the kiddos, that's always a good thing too. I'm a dad. I'm a grandpa now. There are there's something to be said about walking around, seeing the people you're actually helping get an education. I mean, it's very rewarding in that regard.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I just honestly, it's the people. But the job part of it, that's me too. I mean, physically working on things. Now I'm in an office and in meetings. I would say 98% of the time. I wouldn't
Right.
say that's necessarily my gig, but it's part of the progression of my career. So
Right. Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. Well, let's talk a little bit about KADPF. I mean, you've been clearly really active in there for quite a while. So, um, I guess tell us a little bit about KADPF and like what's been like why you've enjoyed being part of it and kind of what it means to you.
absolutely. I mean, I get excited about KDPF. I've been a member since 2017. Kind of worked my way through the board process there. Started out as just a member elect. No administrative duties or anything like that. Just kind of a voting member. Um, you know, an organization that's designed to help people grow in our field and also provide a network of people that help support each other. As soon as I started reading about that, I was like, I like this. I want to get involved in this. Obviously, Chris Crockett worked in my district as well. He's the past president.
Right.
Him and I had some conversations because he was in there already. I think he was in there the year, maybe 2 years before I got in. And I just said, hey, how do I get involved other than just going to the conferences and things like that? And
Right.
he basically said, well, do this. So he's the one that got me kind of started on the board process in my second year. But the ultimate thing about KDPF is just the networking capabilities with other professionals in our field. We're dealing with the same issues almost. I mean, it's almost across the board. If I
Right.
call Burke and say, Burke, I'm having this issue, Burke's like, oh yeah, I had that last week. Dude, check this out. I looked at this, I called this person. There's just, gobs of information that are available to each other. And it's invaluable. I mean, there's a lot of things I've learned over time in this position in the last 7 years that I've picked up from somebody who's been doing this for 20 years. Oh,
Right.
hey, I know this guy that knows this guy that knows that guy. How many times have you had that kind of situation? I know this guy that knows this guy. We can get this figured out. Just that network of people is huge. And being a part of the board side of it, I get excited because you get to be a part of facilitating, the conference and making sure scholarships go well, making decisions for the organization that you think will help its longevity and growth.
Right.
I mean, get excited. Scholarships are awesome. I mean, anytime you can provide a scholarship as an organization, it's huge. And the fact that we're able to provide as many as we do I mean, $35,000 a year. That's amazing to me.
Yeah.
I mean, we've done a good job in there, and the people that came before us, they did a good job of building on. I'm just super excited about where we're at as an organization, and then there's potential growth opportunities ahead of us too. So I mean, we're
Right.
not done. We're still kind of plugging away. Um, the annual conference for me is probably the pinnacle of it. Obviously, you get to see everybody, all your districts that you communicate with. You get to see them for a couple days, just hang
Right.
out, chit chat about the items of the week or a month or the year. COVID time is a prime example where KADPF became huge because there was a lot of back and forth email chats between directors going, hey, where do I find this? Hey, what are you using? What are you doing to make the places safe? I mean, that type of help is always. I mean, because you have administrators in your facilities who sit down and have meetings for your facility, but they've all got their lane, you know.
Right.
So your sounding boards get a little narrowed because I can't run this by my superintendent because he's not going to know what I'm talking about,
Right.
or he's going to be dealing with his own fire during this time. So it's great to have this network of professionals to kind of help us get the knowledge we need to do the job effectively. I mean, ultimately, our end goal is to have kids in class every single day, and that having these people to talk to makes a huge difference. So
Yeah, I think that's for me, that's what it was the first time I went because I didn't know, really anything about running school facilities. And so just to like not realize that I'm not just an island out here by myself, that there's like an organization I could tap into and other guys, um, just at the conference sitting around talking to people, it's all the same. We all have the same struggles and issues, and it's fun to hear what everybody else is doing in different ways. And so, um, and I think you're right. I think it's like I'm a guy that believes if you're in an organization, like do more than just show up to get the most out of it, to get the most out of your time. You got to be in some type of leadership position in that organization. And just gives you a lot more context. You get to know people better. Um, so do you think has it impacted your career path in any way?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I've met I've met so many good people that have moved into different career paths. I mean, I mean, this is just one of those things that kind of comes when you network with people. Is other career opportunities.
Right.
You're going to have somebody say, "Hey, talk to you at this conference, and I know you have this ability, and you've talked about this. What do you think about coming over here and work?" Yeah, I mean, those things happen all the time just because of the network and its ability to communicate. Um, but I mean, as far as impacting my career, the knowledge I've gained over the years, just sitting through, breakout sessions and, sitting in the fire marshal, listening to him talk, just those things that unless you make a concerted effort to reach out to that individual, um, having them right there at the conference where I don't have to reach out and I get all the information I need to be up to speed on what's going on, that's huge because Burke, I'm sure you know, and anybody else that might watch this podcast that's in this field, time is very limited on when we're able to do extra stuff. So
Yeah.
uh, you wear a lot of hats when you're in our positions, and there's not a lot of extra time to be like, you know what, I'm going to call this person and just chat about the codes or something like that. You just don't have that ability. So
Right. Right. Well, and then after you see them there, then you have their contact information. There's more of a connection for when you need to make that phone call. Um,
absolutely,
so,
absolutely.
well, I I guess what excites you the most about where KADPF sits today and kind of where it's going? I mean, we had
So
the biggest conference we've ever had in October, which was fantastic.
yes.
Um, so what are you looking for the next year?
So, I mean, yes, coming off the biggest conference we've had so far, I mean, I'm excited about the future. We've already secured a high quality keynote speaker for this coming year. And we are also starting to partner with USAK. It's not a done deal yet, but we're trying to see what they can provide to our organization and put us at the table with everybody else that deals with school districts,
Mm-hmm.
business department, your HR department, I mean, all these other entities that make sure school works, your superintendents. Uh, our organization and our group of professionals need to have a seat at that table,
Yes.
so that when big decisions are made for the state of Kansas, somebody from KADPF that has our core values is speaking for us and saying, "Hey, well, have you thought about this? What about these things? Things that a superintendent might not think about,
Right.
but we have on our hand because it's like, hey, we deal with this every day. This isn't going to work. We need to make sure we look at this before we just jump in." Um, that's invaluable. So, I mean, like I said, that's not 100% yet. We are actually at the process where they're going to review it through their board. If their board approves, KDPF will become a member of USAK. Um,
Yeah.
that vote is happening, I believe, in February on the 9th. So we could have some new news here fairly soon. But that's a very exciting venture as well. Other things we've kind of ran into is we have so many vendors that find value in KDPF's conference that we've gotten to a point where we may have to expand into an event center. When I started in 2017, we were barely filling well, we were filling it, but we still had a little bit of space we can maneuver with,
Right.
our main conference area. Now, this last year with the big growth, we had to open up the whole secondary conference area and filled it up as well. We have more members coming in because we're touching more people. We're getting a hold of people. Western Kansas, sometimes it's hard to get a hold of some of those people because it's the superintendent, the business
Right.
director, and the operations guy. That's one person. It's hard for them to break away from education to come help us at our conference. So um, just the fact that we're just continuing to grow, and we're looking at seats on the table at the state level, that's huge. It's something we haven't had, but when we reached out to USAK, and I give Chris Crockett a lot of props, the past president, he was the person that initiated that conversation. He, you know, they saw the same thing we did. Why aren't we doing this?
Right.
Um, we should have you guys sitting at the table. They saw the value of our membership and what it can provide to each one of those superintendents, business directors. So it's added value for us and added value for them. Provides a much bigger communication network and
Mm-hmm.
communication in our field. It's got to be timely, and it's also got to be, we got to have people out there to contact. So
Right. Right.
super excited about that growth part too. So
Yeah. That is super exciting. Well, I really appreciate the conversation today. So I wrap these up. I have three kind of rapid fire questions. So just kind of
okay,
whatever comes off the top of your head. So first one is, Um, when do you get your best work done? Like what time of day? Are you a morning guy, nighttime
I
guy?
am a morning guy. I am a
Your
morning
morning.
guy. So if I'm falling behind on a little bit of a project, I'll come in at 5 o'clock in the morning and start banging it out. Um, Now, when it comes to like actually working on things, when I was doing that, it wasn't necessarily the morning because a lot of times it's cold or it just depended on the situation really.
Uh-huh.
Some of those times I would wait till the evening when the kiddos go home. I'd stay a little late and take care of it. But in my current role, it's definitely the mornings because it's before the the rush of the day, and I'm sure the rush of the day for us. It's basically from 7 o'clock all the way to 5 o'clock.
Uh-huh.
Uh, Depending on the day, you never know how busy you're going to be. So you knock it out in the morning when it's possible.
Yep. So how would your family or your kids describe what your job is?
How they
Like if they were
I
telling
guess
their
they would
friends,
always uh,
yeah, if they were telling their friends what you do, what do you think they would say?
I would probably say that Mr. Fix It and Answer Man because 90% of the time somebody's calling me and asking, "Hey, what about this? What about this?" And I'll give them an answer, and my wife or my kids are sitting there. Um, so they call me the answer man at home. Oh, you're always answering your phone and giving them the answer. I'm like,
That's good.
okay.
The answer man. I love that one.
Yeah.
So do you take notes on paper or are you digital?
Oh gosh, I am still a little bit paper. I do so I am converting to digital,
Uh-huh.
uh, but I still have a notepad in my truck um, because so one of the things that I've learned over the years is if I don't write it down, I'll forget it.
Uh-huh.
I don't forget everything, but I'll forget something. So I write them down, um, and when it comes to like keeping institutional knowledge it goes into a computer
Right.
so that we have that and it can be easily passed on. It's not a cool thing to hand somebody a box full of notepads that are just scribbles that you've done over the years. So, if it's on a system, and we have a thing now that I think is invaluable for institutional knowledge. It's basically a photographer. They come in, they take pictures. It's through multivista, but they come in and take pictures of everything, and I can add notes in the system on things. So like if I have a boiler that's giving me problems and I figured out the fix, I can put in there, hey, 2019 we had to do this because it kept doing this.
Oh yeah.
So that next person that might be in my position is should I move on or should something happen to me, he has a little bit of I mean, he's not going to be the one that touched it, but he's going to have something from the guy that did. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a big piece too. I like that, but I mean, to answer your question, I cannot say I'm digital yet. I'm
Yeah.
getting much closer. I do have copies of everything on like any evaluation I do or any
Right.
kind of that type of stuff. I have copies of all that, but everything, all my little jotted notes are still there.
Yeah. I mean, I still use a post-it note. I have a stack of post-it notes on my desk that I have to clean off every once in a while because there's so many, but just for a quick note, I'll just take it on a post-it note. But I'm trying to be
I think
almost all digital.
that's the nature of our beast. Honestly, I mean, you get a phone call, it's like, okay, I I got a person standing here in my office, but I took this phone call. So okay, yeah, room 55 at this building is cold. All right, I got that there, so I don't forget about it.
Exactly.
I have the U line posted notes right here. Big old.
There,
I
yeah,
use them all as well.
that pad will be gone like next week.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, Dave, thank you so much for coming on today. This has been a lot of fun. I think we've
Absolutely has
provided a
been.
lot of value for everybody. Listen, guys, if you like the show, I love it when I get good comments and good ratings. So jump onto iTunes and leave me a rating and a review. I really appreciate it. And for all those guys in Kansas, look into the KADPF. We know we'll have a conference in October every year, and then other educational opportunities throughout the year. So um, look into that, get joined up with us, and you will not regret it. So Dave, thanks again. Appreciate it.
I appreciate it, Burke. Thank you. It was a good time.